Here's what happened. 2014, I started my business professional career as a DJ. I then went through a phase I call the spaghetti phase, figuring shit out, throwing shit against the wall to see what stuck, figuring out my passion, what I like to do, what's actually going to make me light up and feel alive. It then led me to 2018, where I burnt out. I created a social media conference with no event experience, no business doing this thing, with 2 team members and volunteers that we had over 20 people that were supporting this event. Got featured in Forbes, thought I had to be on because of this national awareness, thought I had to be perfect. I couldn't share my problems, my challenges, any of it with my team or the community. I burnt out after that event, even though externally people were like super pumped for year 2. Emotionally, physically exhausted, done. Took me years to recover from that burnout, where then I aligned a business and a career that was focused on values that I had to ask myself, what do I value? What's actually important to me? What do I want? Not what do I think others want of me or want me to act? And that leads me to now where I've built a career without burnout. This is Make Burnout Extinct podcast. I'm Robert David Week. In this first episode, I feel a great place to start with all of the noise, shit that is out there about burnout. There's a lot of talk about it, yet I don't feel there's enough clarity as to what burnout really is. And there's a lot of people hurting, a lot of people suffering. Burnout, when I experienced it in 2018, was a level of suffering I would not want anyone to experience. It's rough. It sucks. It is fucking terrible. And from that came a level of understanding in my own life of who I am, what do I want? And I want to help give that gift to others without having to go through the intensity of what burnout represents. Because we still feel suffering and pain as we're moving towards burnout. And so you don't have to hit a certain threshold to get the gift that can come from understanding yourself, understanding what you want in your life, what energizes you, and what drains you. So I want to answer the question, how do I know I'm on the path to burnout? Or how do I know I'm experiencing burnout? So 3 things I want you to keep in mind. And then what I want to do is share with you the context of the 2018 experience. Creating that event, the lead up, understanding my journey, because we're going on this journey together. Together, we can make burnout extinct, I think, so much faster and more effective than if we were to do this on our own. And that's what this podcast is focused in on, is to be a place where we can come together to navigate burnout, and most importantly, to avoid it, to not even get to the point where we're hitting burnout, but we can recognize when we're headed towards it and we can make a change. And it can start small, and from there compound over time. So I want to share with you that context that got me to 2018, what happened at that event, so you can understand who I am. And from there, what happened after, because trust is something that is so important to have for yourself in this journey of you moving forward and being able to live a life without burnout. And I also feel it's just the right thing to do to share with you the truth about this journey that I went on and my beliefs around it, because I feel we can sometimes share only half truths out there in the world publicly. And then behind the scenes, that's where there is another part of the story. So let's get into the three things to remember with burnout. First, burnout is a cause of chronic stress over time. There's a buildup of chronic stress leads to inflammation, and literally your body feels this heavy weight on itself that it feels like you are being suppressed and you are completely exhausted to the point where it's hard to even get out of bed. That is the level of chronic stress that you get to then where the body just tells you, no, we're not moving forward. You are not going to work today. We are taking time to sit in this, and it's time to recover. That is the point of burnout, for one thing to remember. The second is that you are feeling resentment And the word is like cynicism that comes up, but it's resentment, negativity. Really, it's negativity towards your work. You feel that. You feel that and it seeps in like every cell, it feels like, of your body. It's just seeping through you of this resentment. It then leads into resentment of life. And you go down this path of like, fuck the world is what comes up. That was my journey. And you lump your work into that. Then the third thing is your ineffectiveness at your work. You suck at your work from what you're compared to usually doing these tasks. You're realizing like, this is not right. I'm either not doing the tasks at all. I'm not doing the work at all. Or there is this, it's this detachment from work. You're choosing, like, you are not present, not engaged. And when you have all three of those, because you may be experiencing one of those things, one of the things could be jumping out to you right now in front of you, in your face. You're like, this is it. This is the one that I'm experiencing right now. It's when you have all three that you've hit burnout. So if you have one or two, even, there's still time to avoid it. And what I want to do with this podcast is help you, to be that place where we talk about burnout and we navigate it, of how to avoid it. It's really how to avoid it. It goes back to this quote that I've held on to, which is an ounce. I think I got this here. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that is similar with burnout. If we can get to it before we hit burnout, it's a lot easier to make a change and make a shift with less time, because then you could be looking at potentially years of recovery. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. I didn't want it for me. It was too much time, because something you want to know about me is I believe in hard work. I believe in hard work. I believe in high performance and being a part of something bigger than yourself, for a mission, for a goal. And for me, that mission is to make burnout extinct. I feel it to my bones of something I want to focus in on, support, and this is going to be a place where we're going to dive into that. Let's get into the context. Okay, that's important. So we're going to start back. For me, I'm the youngest of three boys. Anyone that has older brothers, you know what's up. And both my parents were teachers. They're now retired. And I was taught by both of them. So for me, growing up, leading up to back to 2018, it's been 32 years now. 32 years on this planet. And growing up as a kid, I felt like I always had to fill the shoes of my older brothers and my parents and what they wanted for me, even without them putting that on me. I put it on myself. If you know the Enneagram, I'm Enneagram 3. So for me, I always was striving to make people like me. And I wanted to ask myself, how do they want me to show up? And let me show up for them in that way. Maybe that's something that you can relate to, where you feel like you put on that mask. When we do that, we start to lose connection with ourself, our body, truly what we want, what we desire. And when you're doing that over years, that starts to create the foundation of you moving towards the path of burnout and burning out. So for me, I remember still like going into high school was what comes up for me. High school, both my brothers went to the same high school. My dad taught at that high school. And I remember coming in as a freshman. My brother was a senior, and then my other brother had graduated. But I came in, I like sports. I'm a 3-sport athlete in high school. And, soccer was one I liked. I then got into ice hockey in high school. And then I was doing tennis. But then I noticed that both of my brothers played lacrosse. And so I thought, well, I want to follow them, like, right? We want to follow some people the people that we admire and that we look up to. So I switched to lacrosse. And when I got into high school, instead of being known as Robert David, and it's interesting, it's Robert - David. I have a hyphen there. So it's an interesting name. People are always like, is it Robert? Is it David? But when I got there, I was known instead as a Weeks brother, right? A Weeks brother. that comes with a lot of expectation, a lot of assumptions. And that is something that we have to navigate in this life. There are moments where people are going to have assumptions and expectations, and we sometimes put that on ourselves. And when you put that assumptions and expectations on yourself, all of a sudden you move through life with such a heavier weight on your shoulders, and that sucks. It's not fun at all. And so I grew up like that, where I felt, that I had to be someone that I wasn't, that I had to look externally to how do they want me to be, throughout my life. People, if that's teachers to, clients, to people I was working with, always asking myself, even friends, like always feeling like I had to put on the mask. And so you can see how that can wear over time as we get to 2018. Feeling like I'm constantly having to prove myself is one thing that came up. Feeling like I wasn't, I wasn't enough. Now, what else also happened leading up was I was given a gift, because when we think about work, diving into work, we got to realize, why are we working? That's a question you can ask yourself. Why do you work? Okay. One, money. Money is one, income is one, so that you can support yourself, your family, if you have family, and be able to live a good quality of life. And then the second could be, if you have your basic needs met, is you want to create an impact, and give to others. And then the third could be like, you want to be part of something bigger than yourself. I know for me, I check mark on all of those. So what happened to me, all the way up to age 21, was I was given a gift at the time, but also it felt, there's another side of that coin. Both my grandparents, combined, my sets of grandparents combined, they gave me the gift of over $100,000 by the age of 21. I got that money coming in. And for me, I remembered, the first time I got an amount, I remember it was like I was in person, and I remember my parents coming in, just going around this kitchen table. It was like this island, and they were like, "Okay, like you're about to receive this amount." And like at that time, I think it was like 10,000, and I was like 18 years old, and it blew my mind. That amount of money, I never experienced that before. That amount of money, and I I remembered I wasn't really sure what to do with all of that, but I was like, thank you. And like, we'll see what happens. Then a few years later, 21, in college, at this point, I was getting ready to start going into DJing. I was already doing a little bit of DJing, and I was partying a lot, like 6 nights a week, just partying hard, drinking a lot, going to different parties. And grades, it was rough for my grades. And I was in Charleston, South Carolina. Beautiful, if you've ever been there. Beautiful town, right near the beach. Awesome, like just a place where you want to just vacation and have a great time. I partied a lot and had a lot of vacation feels. I then got it when I was 21. Another big amount that ended up being combined $100,000. What that caused for me was, a level of freedom that I know how privileged I am to have received that. And so grateful for that. I think for me, I can't even remember, because it was such a big charge energetically. I don't know if I was in person when I heard the news, over the phone when I heard the news, but I remembered, hearing it and just like feeling detachment, like a numbness from it, because it was such an intense amount I never experienced before. So now you're thinking, okay, like, well, why the hell are you telling me this about the money? Well, it's important, because what then happened was, over those years, that's where the spaghetti phase happened. Like, I was trying a different careers. I had enough money to support myself and my basic needs. And so I was able to have the privilege of testing things out and taking risks and giving it a try. which I know a lot of people don't have that opportunity to start. And what then happened was in 2018, leading up to the conference, I decided to throw all my money into this thing. All the money I had received from my grandparents, threw that money into this thing, and I went all in. I said, chips, like it's like a poker match here. I'm like, let me put it all in here. And then something happened. So what happened was there was money there, resources to get this thing started, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no business doing this work of creating a conference. Yet somehow we were making it happen. Great team to come together to do that. The support system was awesome, but what it caused for me was this feeling of insecurity of, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, yet this is moving. And what that then did for me was cause me to start doing things that I knew were not what I wanted to do. Like there's that subtle moment of decision that you have to make, and you can have this in your career currently right now in your work. And we know the tasks that come up that you're like, I don't know if that's morally right for me. Like I don't know if that's what I want to be doing. And I tell you that because burnout, us moving faster towards burnout is when we are misaligning what we value and what's important to us, and then our actions are the complete opposite. And that's what was happening for me. I was starting to lie to my team, to the community. I remember winning an award of, one of the conference. I forget the title of the thing, but it was like conference to watch out for. I had government officials coming in, or people working in the government coming in, being pumped with the community to business professionals. And I was winning this award, and I was like, why the fuck am I winning this award? Like I don't get it. Like I'm lying. I feel like I have this massive burden of like all these problems, and I'm not able to share it with anyone. And so what happened was I felt lonely. I felt lonely throughout that process. And I really, that's also another reason for me to create this podcast. I really would have wished that someone would have told me that you're gonna be okay through this. If you share what's going on, if you stop the lying, if you stop doing shortcuts in your career, if you actually owned your truth and expressed that confidently out into the world, that you would save so much suffering. And that's something I want to tell you with this. Like, there was so much suffering with that lying that happened. It started to build upon itself. The feeling perfect, having to be perfect, the mask of, I'm okay, everything's all right, nothing's wrong with me. When in reality, we all are fucked up in some way. We all have things we're working on. It's a nicer way to put that. Nicer way to put that. So we all have struggle. We all have challenges, but I thought I couldn't share that. And I remembered, like, this was a few weeks out from the event. I remember that I had shared, we're having 2,000 people that are going to come to this event. It's gonna be great. And in reality, that was not the number. And so what happened was I was burning through all my cash, and I realized that there was not going to be enough money to make this thing happen, to make payroll, to support the contracts that I had signed without really reading the contracts I was signing for contractors, or for these different contractors that were coming in. And so I was panicking. And I realized we had to switch the venue. So we switched the venue, had to shrink the amount of numbers. And from there, we brought the 500 people in. And I could say now it's sold out. And so externally, it's like, oh shit, he's sold out. This is awesome. But I lied. I lied about those numbers. I lied about how many attendees were coming in, and then actually how many we had. I lied to that, to my team, to my community. And it's something I regretted doing. And we have those moments where we have lied. I know it. And it sucks what that does for you and yourself. You feel this internal fuck, I just did that. And that's a red flag that starts to come up of us moving towards the path of burnout. What happened was chaos. ensued of like changing the venue. I felt I was running on adrenaline throughout the event and just trying to survive. Like we had to move speakers. Funny enough, on the contract for the speakers, we had them all coming in at a hotel. And I realized I only signed it for one night and they're staying for 2 nights. So literally a few weeks before the event starts, I'm having to figure out other hotels near the new venue where we could move all the speakers into so that they can be able to make sure that they're okay. And then figure out how to communicate that to them, where it's another moment of having to lie, of sharing the situation, of sharing of what's really going on, not being honest in what was going on. So having to figure all that out as we're trying to run this first time event, you can imagine the amount of pressure that builds in anything. You think about that for a work task that you're doing, or part of your career where it was super intense and you had to step into it courageously and do the damn thing and you had to make it happen. And for me, I was in a place of so much fear where I said, if I decide not to do this event, there are so many people counting on me. It feels like if I choose not to do this event, I don't even know if I can live with myself. That amount of pressure, that amount of pain, that amount of suffering. And I couldn't release any of that. And so that's building over time. That's that chronic stress that's building over time. And then from there, resentment is starting to fill in the cracks of resentment towards myself, starting to distrust myself because I'm lying to myself and lying to others. This resentment towards the community and people saying, this is so awesome, can't wait till year 2. I'm like, shit, I can't wait till this whole thing's done so I can just freaking collapse. So that chatter was happening. And then I was really ineffective in my communication to my team, to the community. Like emails were slipping through, all these mistakes were happening. And then we're getting to the start of the event. The event happens. People come in. We have a few the fires in quotes here, fires that you had to put out in the event, having to get attendees in, get speakers set up, all of that. And by the end of the event, I was done. I remember it was a 2-day event, 2.5-day event. I remember I was done, but what happened was I was still on the hook for contracts with money I didn't have. And so this is where it gets to the point for you in your career of you have a decision to make, a decision that is going to be a very hard decision, but is going to set you up for the rest of your life potentially. And you have a moment that you have to decide which one you're going to take. And for me, the decision I had in front of me was, do I tell these contractors that it ended up being over $60,000. I was in debt after this event. And so I had a moment to decide, do I tell these contractors what's really going on, tell them I don't have the money, and take it on personally as personal debt that I'm going to repay? Or do I take the business and take it to have the business go bankrupt and then just say, sorry, clean hands, but I don't have the money. I decided to take it on personally. And I feel that's important for you to know. Because yes, I've made a lot of mistakes. And shit has sucked because of those mistakes. Shit has sucked. And I realize that I am the person that wants to do the right thing, that I feel is the right thing. I want to lean into that and do that. And that was my moment back in 2018 to gratefully decide to take it on personally. And so I did. I took the debt on personally. And I had to get financial support. I didn't have the money at the time, so I had to get financial support from the people closest to me. Ask for a loan, say I'm going to repay it, and take that money in. Also work at the same time with other like side gigs to get some income coming in. Just to survive, literally, with food and expenses, and to be able to pay that money back as fast as I could. And so I would have to have the conversations. I remember sending an email out to. I sent this email out where literally the subject line was, I fucked up. And I sent that out and I was fully honest. I was honest as to what was going on of like, I don't have the money right now, but can you give me time? And of course, we all want to get paid, like both if we're, employees to the contractors, to business owners. Like, we all want to get paid so that we can have the funds, because we're trying to survive too. So of course, everyone was like, yeah, all right, like we want the money, we want it, so we'll figure this out. And so I was grateful for that. And I just went through the check mark. Okay, like, money coming in, I can send it to them, get these payments done. And to this day now, I still have $3,000 left out of that $60,000, which was a lot of money at the time. And $3,000, I'm still trying to get in contact with the people to pay them back. And so I want you to know who I am on this journey that we're about to embark on. I am a person that truly cares about you making burnout extinct in your life, in your workday, because I know how much it sucks and how much suffering can come from the opposite of actually hitting burnout and then having to go through the recovery process of that. And anyone that has ever gone through it, you may have already gone through that too. It sucks. It sucks. It's no fun. Who the hell wants that? So when we go on this journey together, I want you to know that I genuinely care about you making progress in this thing, committing to it, being able to provide you with strategies and tools. I believe in simplicity of it all to be able to make the shift and make the change, because it didn't take you one day to get to this point of either chronic stress, overwhelm, or this point of the path in burnout. And it won't take you one day it won't take overnight. I'm trying to think of the term there. It's like the change won't happen overnight for you going the complete opposite of becoming burnout proof, is how I like to think about it. However, in one day, you can make a massive shift for yourself, a massive change towards moving to becoming burnout proof and to making burnout extinct in your life. Now, post event. It happened. I collapsed. I had to let go of my team. I had to have those conversations where they're tough. I mean, if you've been on the end of having to be let go, to the one saying it, if it's a manager, or if you're business owner, or you are the employee having to be let go, it sucks. It sucks. Being able to be direct of what's going on was important for me in that moment to share. Look, I don't have the money anymore. We have to end this. I have to let you go. And it had nothing to do with them. Like, it was all my mistakes. And there's a lot of mistakes that I regret doing. And I remembered, that moment having, I remember one of the team members was like, all right, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. So that led me then on figuring out, what do I want out of life? What do I actually want? What energizes me? I didn't even realize it at the time till later on. It's like, what energizes me? And what drains me? And what are the values that I'm going to hold on to that are going to be my North Star, that are going to guide me forward in this life? And, some of them that come up is courage to step courageously into new opportunities. Oh man, I'm slipping on what exactly it is for the wording. Yeah, I have it written down. But it's like courage to step into the unknown courageously, to take action. And then, honesty to truly share what's on my heart. The other one is determination to the goals I set out to accomplish, going out there and moving towards them and committing to them. Even if I don't get to the goal, being able to commit to that. And so those are things to remember for yourself as we're embarking on this journey together, is that understanding what energizes you, what drains you, and then the values that you're holding on to as your North Star, that becomes such an awesome foundation to go off of towards becoming burnout proof. And to stop, I like to think about it as a burnout beast, to stop letting the burnout beast grow, because we all deal with a burnout beast. We all have that, whether we know it or not. We are allowing it to grow, or we're causing it to shrink to the point where it becomes sick. So to recap that all, the journey post for me has been a journey of both healing, understanding, and then determination, a level of intensity of wanting to support you to make burnout extinct. I went through another half of the spaghetti phase, where trying how best to support people. What do I believe in? What's the mission that is really at my bones? going to be something I know I want to like plant my flag down and plant the flag down and be like, this is it. Draw the line in the sand. This is it. And that's burnout. I've realized it's been throughout my entire life. Burnout has been there. And what's interesting is financially, because again, bringing that back, one of the big reasons we do that is to create income. I've now seen it on both on the spectrum. I've had it where I've had the money come in and realize that it's not just the money that's going to make the difference. And having that lesson be given to me through personal experience of receiving the money and then losing it all and going in debt, going into the opposite, knowing what those calls that I have to make, how those feel, knowing that I have negative bank accounts and credit cards that are maxed out, and having the calls come in from the collectors, knowing what that feels like to lose my health insurance because I don't have the financial resources to do that. And then having to truly, gratefully, and thankfully being in decent health to then be able to have faith that I will stay in decent health and I will do the habits that will help me to stick with that. So I've seen it. I've been there. I've been in the shit. And I'm wanting this to be the place where we can be truthful about life, about the work environment that we're in, being able to truly see the reality that we're in, not make it more intense or less intense, but just see what it is, and then being able to make the change and shifts that can allow us to continue to perform at a high level for the work that we want to get done in whatever role that you play, while at the same time making the priority the well-being, realizing you can have both in there. And yes, at certain times, balance does not exist. I've realized that. It's the harmony that comes with work and life and other aspects of life, being able to create your own harmony where one's going to be more intense than the other. And I want you to be able to see that clear picture. And what I'm excited about is to have guests come on that are so knowledgeable in certain topics and fields that relate to burnout, because burnout is interconnected. It's not just one thing that you are going to do that's going to completely make burnout extinct. It's one thing after the other. If that's a habit of drinking the water, to making sure you're getting the right nutrition, to making sure you have your workday systems in place, that you're energized through your work tasks and you're putting more focus on a quarterly basis towards those work tasks and less on the tasks that drain you. Knowing what the minimum that activities that you have to do that are draining in order to continue to move forward and grow in your career. All of those questions and all of those focuses is something that I'm excited to go and embark on a journey with you. So, to remember for burnout, there are 3 key things to remember. One is that it is a buildup of chronic stress over time. It is years usually in the making, depending on the intensity of the chronic stress. The second is that you have this negativity towards your work, this resentment, this feeling of resentment towards work, and then ultimately it leads and flows into the rest of the life. Resentment towards, that could be partner to family, to friends, and to life overall. And then the third one is ineffectiveness, a detachment from work, a realization that you are not performing to the best that you could in your work, and that performance is so much worse than what it was before burnout. And so those 3 are your red flags to focus in on as we get started. A question I would leave for you is to go back to that question of how do I know I'm experiencing burnout? Well, ask yourself, are any of those red flags very focused in your life right now, very in your face right now, of I'm experiencing these? You can share it in the comments for me. You can share it share it in the comments. Where are you at right now with one of those red flags? Which one's the most intense for you right now? And then I want to leave you with this quote by John Butcher. It's a powerful one that I've held on to and realized, because I don't want to tell you that I'm not delusional to think that the way that I'm going to be sharing this, the guests I'm going to have coming on and sharing their knowledge, and my goal is to be able to share different perspectives. Some perspectives I don't agree with, but I know could have impact and support for others. Like I want to have open dialogue. I want to have open conversations about that, and be a place of be real, of realizing what may work for me may not work for you, and knowing that the way that I share is not the only right way to go about this. And so John Butcher quote, he states, "There is no one right way, but there is a right way for you." And I'm excited for you to discover that and for us together to make burnout extinct in this world. Pumped to see you next time.